Alright, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to you, Arkin, that are teaching this word around the globe with faith and truth and sincerity. Once again, I'm the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, coming back at you with another lesson to edify the Lord's elect. As always, I'd like to begin by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, and West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to find Israelites that do look like the other nations because Israel has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like, because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So I want to do a lesson here going into a report I was watching on this show here. I'm not going to say the name of it because you're not going to find this show on YouTube, because YouTube is there's certain content that YouTube doesn't allow on its platform in these days. I'm not going to name names, but it's to do with the serpent's juice. You know, they've got a zero tolerance policy for that. So you have to find your information from other sources. One of the sources that I use is this website called BitChute. Now, what I will do, Lord willing, is I will put a link to this website in the description. But what I want to talk about is this lady here that you see on the screen. Now, this is someone who has taken the serpent's juice and has suffered the ramifications from doing so. And if you listen to her testimony, the things that she's saying that have happened to her are actually quite horrific. Again, I have to be very careful with what I say because YouTube's looking for any excuse to pull these videos down. But basically, she said as a result of taking the serpent's juice, she got blisters and sores all over her body, an inflamed spine, blood clots. I believe she got myocarditis, which is damage to your heart, and other side effects. But one of the big side effects that prompted me to do this lesson is that she said she's had a non-stop menstrual cycle ever since she's taken the serpent's juice. Now, when I heard that, it immediately made me think of the scriptures, because according to the scriptures, there are certain times when you're not supposed to have sex with your wife, and one of those times is when she's menstruating. Let me see if I can find that in here. Bear with me, let me find the precept. Because that essentially means that her husband can't do anything with her anymore, because if she's constantly menstruating, that means she's unclean. Right, this is Leviticus the 15th chapter. Let me pull it up on the screen here so you can see it. Right, this is because the uncleanness of a woman is different to the uncleanness of a man. Men and women are not equal. That's a fallacy that's been taught by the society. Men and women are constructed very differently, and they were done so intentionally by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So let's get this. Leviticus 15. The woman also with whom man shall lie, with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water and be unclean until the evening. So basically, when you have sex with your wife, you're supposed to bathe yourself in water, and she's supposed to bathe herself in water, and you're both unclean until the sun sets on that day, and then a new day begins at sunset, so then you'll be clean. And it says, and if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whatsoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the evening. So when a woman has a monthly menstrual cycle, she's actually supposed to be put apart for those days when she's unclean, because anything she touches during that period of her menstruation, it becomes unclean. Now, I remember seeing an article in the news a few years ago, a good few years ago, maybe 2018 or something, where they were talking about there's certain, I think it was in India, I believe, there were certain villages which were, not so westernized, in which whenever a woman had their menstruation cycle, they would go and stay in a different house. And Esau and this Western news was saying how wrong it is that it's discrimination against women and all this kind of madness, when actually that's actually more akin to the ancient ways. Another thing as well, it's like let's say you've got your wife. There are certain times when you can't deal with her, and you're not even really supposed to be sharing the same bed as her. And I'm going to get this in the law, right? It says, and if a woman have an issue and an issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whatsoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation, notice the word there, separation, she's supposed to be set apart. So there's certain times when you're not supposed to be dealing with your woman. A, when she's on her menstruation cycle, and B, on the Sabbath. You're not supposed to be dealing with your woman on the Sabbath. You're not supposed to be having sex on the Sabbath because that's a holy day, right? And that makes you unclean, and you're not supposed to defile the Sabbath. So, you're not supposed to be having sex on the Sabbath. Anyway, so it says, verse 21, and whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. See, again, in this Western society, they teach you that, the man and the wife go to Esau's church. They say their vows. They get these golden rings. The pork chop eating pastor says, you may kiss the bride, and then they buy a house, and they've got one bedroom for them, and they've got maybe a bedroom or two for their little children, and the mum and the dad, they share the same bedroom, and they sleep in the same king-size bed, 24/7, 365, until the day they both drop dead and enter the grave. But no, it's not supposed to work like that. There's a period in time where the woman is supposed to be set apart. Now, we know we can't keep the law perfectly in this time. Even if we wanted to, it's impossible for us to do so because we're in this corrupt flesh. So therefore, we rehearse the righteous acts. But I'm just bringing this up as a point because that's actually in the law. And obviously, when the kingdom of heaven is established upon earth, and we're in our kingdom, we're going to be keeping these laws perfectly. So therefore, that's another reason why a man is supposed to have more than one wife, because there's certain times when you can't deal with that particular wife. So what's that man supposed to do? Is he supposed to burn while his woman is unclean and has to be set apart? No, he cycles through and deals with a different woman who isn't unclean at that time. So that's one of the reasons why a man is allowed to have multiple wives. Now, on the flip side of that, the woman is only allowed to have one husband. So in that period of her separation, she's going to be reflecting upon things, and it's going to humble her, right? So let's keep reading, and it says, and whosoever toucheth anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the evening. And again, let me give you an example of why we can't keep this law in this time. Because, for example, let's say you go on public transport, right? And you go and you sit on a bus. And who's to say that earlier on in that day, that a woman who might have been on a monthly menstruation cycle didn't come on the bus and sit in that seat and defile it before you even saw, and you went and sat down in that same seat? Because they don't wash them seats on those buses. They don't wash them seats on those trains. At least not here in where I'm at in the world. They don't wash them things, man. Them things are fucking filthy. So you might, be trying to keep the law to the best of your ability. You get up, you wash yourself, you're fresh and clean, you go out, and you step on a bus, and you happen to sit in a seat, and boom, now you're defiled. And this is very true, because I've always said this to, I've mentioned this to many brothers who are in the camp with me. I've said that I've always been very sensitive in the spirit, and I've always been able to kind of, like, for example, I know when I'm clean and when I'm unclean. And I'm not talking about just, I've had a shower and whatever. No, I mean like when you're spiritually unclean. That's something that I've always been very perceptive and aware of. And oftentimes it frustrates me when I have to go out my house and I'll be clean and I'll go and stand at the bus stop or get on the bus and oh shit, now I feel defiled because the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Let me just quickly get that. Bear me. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. That is Isaiah 24 verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws and changed the ordinance and broken the everlasting covenant. That's Isaiah 24 verse 5. So, yeah, that's just an example of how you can't keep the law in this time, unfortunately. But once Yahushua returns, the laws are going to be instigated and we're going to have new bodies and we'll be able to keep the laws absolutely perfect, so we're never going to be defiled again, which is something that I personally look forward to a lot. So it says, verse 23, and if it be on her bed or anything whereon she sitteth, so you can't even sit in the same seat, when he toucheth it, he shall be unclean until the even. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And all the bed whereon she lieth shall be unclean. Oh boy, right? And it says, and if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of her time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation, shall be unclean. And every bed whereon she lieth, all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation, and whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean, and as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles, or 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the priest at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her before Yahweh for the issue of her uncleanness. Thus ye shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle which is among them. This is the law of him that have an issue, of him who seeketh out from him and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that have an issue of the man and the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean. So the woman is unclean. Now this goes and links with the account in the gospel where there was a woman that had an issue of blood, and she touched the hem of Yahushua's garment, and Yahushua healed her from that. So when I saw this thing here that I was talking about, this woman here, she has the same type of thing, an issue of blood. Her menstruation cycle has not stopped. Now, as I say, according to the law, her husband really can't deal with her. He can't have sex with her. But on a deeper level, if this woman's constantly menstruating, it means she can't. She's now become essentially barren, because she can't stop herself from menstruating. So therefore, she can't retain seed and bear another child. Now, this is also by design, because the serpent's juice is something that works on many levels, in the sense that it's supposed to destroy you first and foremost, but also it's supposed to sterilize you also. So we're living in some serious times. The Georgia Guidestones ain't no joke. Esau's agenda to depopulate the earth isn't some far off thing that's coming in the distance. It's actually taking place right now. But, I've got to be careful with my wording. So what I'll say is, for those of you who want to learn more, follow the link in the description. Lord willing, I'll put that in the description. And you can hear this woman's testimony. And, if you go to the BitChute, you can learn of many more. So yeah, I just thought I'd touch on that because when I listened to that, it made me think of the scriptures and the law. So I just brought out the law for you there. Lord willing, that's just a little quick edifying lesson. Shalom for now. All praises given, once again, giving all praises and glory unto Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahweh Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. And a sincere shalom to all you brothers and sisters that be listening and learning with faith and truth and sincerity. Yeah, till the next lesson, I say shalom, wa abba. Kwame Shalom for now.